Ever walk out of a theater, like curtain closes, and your mind's still kind of buzzing from what you saw?
Yeah.
Those sets, right? Today we're going behind the scenes, going to figure out what goes into set design. It's way more than just making things look pretty.
It really is.
We've got someone amazing with us, a real expert who can take us through this career path.
Happy to be here.
And to guide us, we're using insights from RoleCatcher. They're different. They don't just tell you about the job, they tell you how to actually land it.
Yeah, their approach is very practical, which is so important for anyone serious about theater work.
Exactly. So, RoleCatcher, they call a set designer, get this, the architect of the visual stage setting.
Love that.
They shape what the audience sees. But here's what gets me. It's artistry, sure, and also practicality, right?
Totally. You're capturing the story, but you're making it a 3D world that has to actually work.
So it's not about being pretty, it's about...
Impact. The set itself adds to how you feel about the performance.
It's like the set's another character almost, subtly changing how we see the play.
100%. Think about those moments when a set has to completely transform. Busy city street, suddenly it's someone's tiny apartment.
And they can't just, like, stop the play for an hour to move stuff around.
Right, that's where the designer gets really clever. Rotating platforms maybe to reveal different sections, trapdoors for actors, props to appear and vanish.
Ooh, sneaky.
Lighting's huge too, shifts the mood instantly.
It's like its own choreography.
Yeah.
Everything timed perfectly to create this illusion. RoleCatcher gets into the nitty-gritty of what they actually do, and it's a lot. Research, coming up with ideas, detailed drawings.
And don't forget, they have to work with everyone, the director, costume people, even lighting.
Oh, right, like a team effort.
Totally. And then they oversee the building of it all, making sure it's up to code, functional. Plus, imagine coaching the crew on those crazy scene changes. Like, how do you design a set that can handle a raging storm one minute and a romantic picnic the next? All on a theater budget.
And limited space. I'm getting stressed just thinking about it. That's a lot of pressure. Big artistic vision, but also, like, real-world limitations.
And RoleCatcher is honest about that. They show both sides.
Yeah, it's not all glitz and glam, right?
Yeah.
Long hours, tight deadlines, and let's be real, it's competitive.
It really is. Which is why passion is so essential. You need that drive to get through the tough stuff and see your ideas come to life.
Speaking of tough, what happens when the director wants one thing, but the designer has a different artistic vision?
That's the heart of collaboration. Finding that middle ground where you stay true to yourself, but also serve the story. Communication is key.
So it's not just art skills. You need thick skin, compromise, resilience, all that.
You gotta roll with the punches.
But often, those restrictions, that's where the best ideas come from, right?
100%. Thinking outside the box, using limitations to be even more creative.
So, about those creative skills, RoleCatcher lists what every set designer needs. Some are obvious, like being artistic, being able to visually explain things. But then they said, strong reading comprehension. I was like, huh.
Makes sense, though, right? You're not just looking at the words, you're understanding what the writer meant. The mood, the subtext.
It's like deep reading, but for the stage.
Exactly.
So not just making it pretty, you have to get the story on a deeper level. Use the set to enhance it.
You're a visual storyteller, basically.
Okay, that clicks. And then there's the problem solving. RoleCatcher mentioned that,
Right.
which with all the technical stuff makes sense.
You've got a vision, right. But then it's budget, the size of the stage, safety rules. So much to balance.
It's like this puzzle, but the pieces are creative and logistical. And what about designing for different time periods? RoleCatcher mentioned history, archaeology even.
It's crucial. You can't just use any old chair because it looks kind of old, you know? The architecture, the whole social vibe back then, it matters.
So you're part artist, part historian, part engineer. Wild. And even if someone's not going to build Broadway sets, these skills apply elsewhere, don't they?
Totally. Communicating visually, working on a team, dealing with curveballs, that's useful anywhere.
It's like the world IS the stage, right? But seriously, ever had to make a presentation, explain something complicated with pictures?
Yeah.
That's that same thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Taking an idea and making it real, engaging so people get it.
Okay, but from old school skills to the future, RoleCatcher talked about how tech is changing set design. Exciting stuff.
It's amazing to see. The old craftsmanship is still there, but now you've got CAD software, 3D printing, even VR and AR getting used.
Hold up. For those of us who haven't used a protractor in a while, What's CAD again?
Computer-aided design, basically digital blueprints. Instead of sketching, you're creating the whole set in 3D on the computer.
So it's like those tiny models, but high-tech.
Exactly, and you can change things easily, try different textures, even see how the lighting will look, all before building anything.
That's wild. Okay, and 3D printing, isn't that mostly for making little plastic toys and whatnot?
Think bigger. Designers are printing models, but super detailed ones. Helps to visualize the space, spot problems early on, and it's great for showing ideas to the director, way better than just talking about it.
Okay, now that is cool. But VR and AR on a stage feels very sci-fi.
It's becoming more common. Imagine the director puts on a headset and they're walking through the set virtually, seeing it like an actor would.
No more waving your hands around trying to explain.
Right, and AR, that's where you add digital stuff to the real world. So you're on the empty stage, but through your tablet, boom, the set appears, lights and all.
That's next level. But it's not just about using tech for the sake of it, right? RoleCatcher mentions sustainability, too.
Absolutely. Theaters are trying to be more eco-friendly, so set designers are using recycled materials, things like that.
What kind of stuff? Give us some examples.
Reclaimed wood is big, sometimes even recycled plastic, or using natural elements like plants, found objects to make really unique pieces.
So it's got to look amazing, but also be responsible. Love that. Clearly, set design's always changing. And speaking of change, RoleCatcher talked about the career path itself, how you go from wanting to do this to actually doing it.
They lay it out really well. Starting out, it's all about hands-on experience, even if it's just volunteering at a small theater, student films, anything to learn.
Building your portfolio, meeting people, makes sense.
And networking is huge EE. Going to events, checking out other designers' work, learning from the best.
Right, making connections. So you start as an assistant, then maybe junior designer, and eventually you're calling the shots.
Exactly. But no matter what, RoleCatcher stresses that you gotta keep learning.
Because theater evolves, the tools evolve, you got to evolve too.
Keep experimenting, go to workshops, find new materials. That keeps your work fresh.
Never stop learning. Speaking of, they had a whole section on job interviews, really useful stuff. They go over common questions, how to answer, so you really sell yourself.
It's like having a cheat sheet. Interviews can be nerve-wracking, but if you prep, it's way less scary.
Totally. One thing they emphasized was talking about your creative process. Like imagine you're in the interview. Director asks, what makes your designs different? How do you answer that so they remember you? That's the tough one, right? Anyone can look at a set and say, cool, but explaining what makes yours cool.
It's about putting words to your process, how you read a script, what inspires you visually, and then how that becomes the actual set.
RoleCatcher even has this thing where you can practice answering, record yourself, and AI gives you feedback.
Oh, wow, like a digital coach.
Yeah. So, big picture, what have we learned? Set design, it's storytelling, it's technical, it's teamwork, it's problems. And it's always changing.
And as tough as it is, so rewarding. When that set comes together and the audience, they're transported. There's nothing like it.
That magic, you know. But even if no one's rushing to design a stage tomorrow, what we talked about today, it applies to so much.
100%.
Giving a presentation, planning a party, even just getting your point across clearly. That visual thinking, communication, problem solving, it matters.
Totally. Knowing your audience, what's the message, and then using whatever tools you have to bring it to life.
Exactly. Maybe this got some folks thinking about set design in a new way. Maybe even inspired to try it out.
Why not? Help out at a local theater, design something fun for your next gathering. You never know.
Embrace the creativity. And if anyone's serious about a career in this, RoleCatcher's website is the place. Guides, interview tips, they've even got job listings.
Your backstage pass, basically. Well, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
We have. But before we go, one last thought. Imagine you're designing a set, but it's for a story about you. What would it look like? What's on that stage that says, this is me, this is my life?
Now, those are the stories we should all try to tell.
Beautifully said. And on that note, that's a wrap on set design.
Yeah.
Until next time, keep those creative sparks alive.